Hi, I'm Laura Roketenetz. Welcome to WOW, my National Geographic Educator Certification Capstone project. I'm the manager at the University of Akron Field Station. Our goal at the field station is to promote a better understanding of our relationship with the natural world through research, education, and community outreach. Our main base of operations is the Dr. Paul E. Martin Center for Field Studies and Environmental Education in the 411-acre Bath Nature Preserve, which is located just north of Akron, Ohio. Let me give you a quick tour and tell you about the field trip I hosted for the 4th graders from Richardson Elementary in Cuyahoga Falls. The field trip was broken down into 4 stations, each with a distinct activity. This allowed me to cover local, regional, and global scales while addressing spatial, historical, geological, and ecological perspectives. For example, this is Bath Pond and the site of the first station. Bath Pond is a glacial pothole that was formed when a large chunk of ice broke off of the receding glacier and was left behind to slowly melt over time. This means that this pond is over 10,000 years old. We're now passing over many varied habitats, including scrub shrub, managed grassland, and young forest, on our way to Garden Bowl Wetland, which is the site of our second station. This wetland was drained in the 1950s or 60s, but had the hydrology restored several years ago and now is home to wood ducks, trumpeter swans, painted turtles, muskrats, great blue herons, and lots of great wetland plants. We're headed back to the field station now, where stations 3 and 4 were held. I hope this aerial tour was able to give you a good sense of place of Bath Nature Preserve. 4th grade students from Richardson Elementary in Cuyahoga Falls traveled about 8 miles as the crow flies to get to Bath Nature Preserve, even crossing through the area where the Cuyahoga Valley National Park is located. It was a cold and rainy morning, but these students were ready for an adventure. At Station 1, students hiked to Bath Pond and learned about the geological history of the area. They also learned that they were in the Cuyahoga River watershed, which then flows into Lake Erie. A continental divide between the Great Lakes watershed and the Ohio River watershed goes right through the middle of Akron. Then they played a game linking physical objects to wetland functions. Station 2 was a hike to Garden Bowl Wetland Restoration, where we looked at its topography and its important place in the landscape for water quality. We also used a spotting scope to look closely at the ecological interactions in this wetland. At the 3rd station, students discussed the topography of Bath Nature Preserve and then were able to interact with 2 different types of watershed models.
Building up land. That's so cool. Yeah. Okay. So now all of you get to do that. But we'll do this, carefully. Keep the sand in the box.
Oh, we're gonna do a clockwise.
No, you can all do it at the same time.
Oh, can I use this? Remember?
Yes, you can use that. So notice what happens to the water shapes. Great.
The students were then able to practice their topography reading skills by completing a worksheet. Finally, at Station 4, the students were encouraged to use art as a way to express the beauty of the world around them. We began this station by looking at a variety of books and National Geographic magazines that showed aerial photography, a new perspective for some of these students. Students were inspired by the colors and patterns that they saw and could use these acrylic pour paintings to make a beautiful piece of art. Because of the fluidity of the media, students were able to move their canvases around and really make patterns that looked like the aerial photographs and topography of Bath Nature Preserve that they had learned about during the field trip. I'm going to let the beauty of the students' artwork and their individuality and creativity speak for themselves. The paintings took about a week to dry, but their teacher was able to deliver the paintings to the students before the end of the school year so that they would have a remembrance of their trip to the University of Akron Field Station. The National Geographic Learning Framework of Attitude, Skills, and Knowledge is definitely something that I'll be using in the future to inspire and empower my students. I intentionally designed several activities as interdisciplinary and interactive to inspire curiosity and responsibility, encourage observation, and for the students to see real-world examples of our changing planet and wildlife and wild places. Because I don't get to interact with the students on a daily basis after the field trip, sometimes it's hard for me to assess the impact the curriculum had on them. I was very grateful to receive these thank you notes that said things like, I learned that paintings can represent nature, and I learned that wetlands are like a strainer. The wetlands protect the lake from harmful chemicals that could get into the lake if the wetlands weren't there. I couldn't do this alone, so here's a few thank yous of my own. I'm really looking forward to conducting this field trip again with another group of 4th graders in the future and incorporating some more of the National Geographic resources like this lesson, satellite imagery, and change over time. I guess you could say the National Geographic Educator Certification has really taken my environmental education curriculum to new heights. Thank you for the opportunity to be part of such an inspiring and challenging experience.